Hi, welcome to Digging Deeper Part 4, Seeking the Kingdom, a study in Judges. In Digging Deeper 1, if you remember, we looked at the angel of the Lord and we discussed who the angel of the Lord is. We looked at the regressive cycle in Digging Deeper 2 that goes all the way through Judges, how they move from apostasy to idolatry to judgment and then to mercy and then back again. And in Digging Deeper 3 we looked at the first judge in Israel, or the first recorded judge, first recorded leader in that period, Othniel. And today we're coming to Judges chapter 3 verses 12 through to 30, and it's the story of Ehud. This is a very fascinating story, and we'll just pick a few things from it. Exactly what we will learn from this, I'm not sure at this point, but let's go. Once again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Well, that's no surprise. It's been happening all the time. And because they did evil, the Lord gave Eglon, king Moab, power over Israel, getting the Ammonites and the Amalekites to join him. Eglon came and attacked Israel, and they took possession of the city of palms. The Israelites were subject to Eglon, king of Moab, for 18 years. 18 years of subjection by a foreign power. This was not what God had originally intended. This was not what Moses wanted. This was not what Joshua wanted, but this is what's happening. Again, the Israelites cried out to the Lord, and he gave them a deliverer, Ehud, a left-handed man, the son of Gera the Benjamite. It's significant that he's left-handed, as we'll find out later. And it's interesting if you went to Judges 20. In Judges 20, from about verse 13, the writer talks about the Benjamites that Ehud came from. And it says in verse 16, among all these soldiers, these Benjamite soldiers, there were 700 chosen men who were left-handed, each of whom could sling a stone at a hare and not miss. They could hit a hare with a stone. And we're not talking about bunny rabbits here. We're talking about this kind of hare. So they were pretty good. They were left-handed. Now Ehud is left-handed. He's the son of Gera the Benjamite. The Israelites sent him with tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. So there's a delegation going to send a tribute to the occupier. This is an assassination plot. Now Ehud had made a double-edged sword about 1.5 feet long, so relatively short, which he strapped to his right thigh under his clothing. If you can think, if you're left-handed, you would go to the right hand to draw your sword, whereas people that are right-handed go to the left hand to draw their sword. He presented a tribute to Eglon, king of Moab, who was a very fat man. Now that's not just insulting him. That's relevant in a strange and bizarre way. After he had presented the tribute, he sent on their way the men who had carried it. At the idols near Gilgal, he, that's Ehud himself, turned back and said, I've got a secret message for you, O king. The king said, quiet, and all his attendants left him. So he's gone back and he's speaking to the king on his own. I've got a secret message for you. Wow, okay. Ehud then approached him while he was sitting alone in the upper room of his summer palace and said, I have a message from God for you. Now, there's no mention that Ehud is a prophet. So is this a message from God? If it is, it's a very strange one. As the king rose from his seat, Ehud reached with his left hand, drew the sword from his right thigh, and plunged it into the king's belly. The king wasn't expecting that. That's not the normal way of drawing your sword because he's left-handed. Even the handle sank in after the blade, which came out of his back. Gross. Ehud did not pull the sword out, and the fat closed in over it. Then Ehud went out to the porch. He shut the doors of the upper room behind him and locked them. After he had gone, the servants came and found the doors of the upper room locked. They said, "He must be relieving himself in the inner room of the house." Must have gone to the loo. They waited to the point of embarrassment. But when he didn't open the doors of the room, they took a key and unlocked them. There they saw their Lord fallen to the floor, dead. And then as we go on, Ehud blows a trumpet, he raises an army, and he defeats the Moabites, and he sets the people free for another 80 years. Now, what can we learn from Ehud? Well, one of the things we can learn is that 18 years of cruel subjection is now replaced by 80 years of peace and prosperity. God has again shown his mercy to his people through that violent act on behalf of Ehud and through the army's victory. And so I guess we might say God works in mysterious ways his wonders to perform. That age is not the age we live in. As we said last Sunday, that kingdom mentality is not our kingdom mentality. This is not the Jesus way. This is not the kingdom way. But this is God working out his purposes through vulnerable and weak and evil people in an evil society. And one of the encouraging factors might be this, that if God can work through Ehud and if God can work out his purposes through vulnerable people, surely he can do the same with us. I know we're meant to be holy. I know we're meant to be godlike. I know we're seeking to be like Jesus. But God will use us before we get there. I remember several times as a youngster hearing from the pulpit, God can only use pure vessels. Have you ever heard that? God can only use pure vessels. God can only use holy vessels. But it's not true. It's not true. If God can only use holy, pure vessels, he won't be able to use anyone. The only holiness I get is from the holiness that Jesus gives me. Because I'm on a journey and you're on a journey. So maybe that's a lesson from Ehud. Maybe you've got your own lessons that you'll get from Ehud. Next time we meet, we'll continue our studies. God bless you.